I want to tell you about the day I came home from a doctor's appointment and my key did not work. I had owned that house for 28 years, bought it in 1995 with Carol, my wife, paid it off in 2017. Every mortgage payment, every repair, every coat of paint on those walls, I knew where it came from. 42 years with the Postal Service. Monday through Saturday, Phoenix heat or Phoenix wind, I showed up and I delivered. That house was what showing up looked like in physical form. My daughter Pamela had been living in it with her family for 11 months when I came home that afternoon and put my key in the lock, and the lock did not open. New deadbolt, new handle. I stood on my own front porch in the Arizona sun with a folder of cardiology follow-up results under my arm, and I could not get into my own house. I knocked. Pamela answered. She looked at me through the screen door and she said, "Dad, we need to talk." I said, "Pamela, what did you do to my lock?" She said, "Dad, come around to the back." I said, "I am not coming around to the back. I am coming through the front door of my own home." And she said, "Dad, it's not your home anymore." My name is Eugene Walter Briggs. I am 75 years old. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in a small apartment that costs me most of my Social Security check every month. I am telling you this story today because I spent too long not telling it, too ashamed, too confused, too certain that somewhere in it I had done something wrong, that a father who raised his daughter right would not end up on the wrong side of his own front door. I have figured out what I did wrong. I loved her, and I let that love make me careless about protecting myself. That is the whole of it, and I am going to tell you every single detail so that it does not happen to you. Stay with me. This is going to take a while, but I believe every minute of it matters. I was born in 1949 in Phoenix, Arizona, Garfield neighborhood, East Side, working class, the kind of neighborhood where everyone knew everyone, and nobody locked their doors until the 1970s when the city changed around us. My father, Walter Briggs, worked at the ice plant on Van Buren Street for 30 years. My mother, Dottie, kept the house and raised 4 children and made a dollar stretch in ways that still seem impossible to me when I think about it. I was the third child, quiet, reliable, not the smartest in the room and not the funniest, but the one you called when something needed to get done. I graduated high school in 1967 and joined the Postal Service at 19, following my uncle Raymond, who had been a mail carrier for 20 years, and told me it was the most honest work a man could do. He was right. It was. I never regretted it for a single day in 42 years. I met Carol in 1972 at a church picnic in Tempe. She was 23. I was 23. We married in 1974. Carol was a bookkeeper for a hardware supply company. Together we were careful with money in the way that people who grew up without much tend to be. Not afraid of spending, but always aware of what things cost and what they were worth. We bought our first house in 1978. We bought the house on Mariposa Street in 1995 when the kids were grown, and we wanted something that felt like the last house. That is what we called it between us, the last house. I want to tell you a little about the work because the work is where everything I had came from, and I think it deserves to be said plainly. 42 years. Phoenix heat in August reaches 115 degrees. I delivered mail in that heat. I delivered mail in the wind that comes across the desert in the spring, with enough force to take the letters right out of your hand if you are not careful. I delivered mail the week Carol was in the hospital for a procedure, and I was scared, and I showed up anyway because the route needed doing, and the people on that route were counting on it. I retired in 2009 with a federal pension and a modest retirement account, and the house on Mariposa Street paid off 2 years ahead of schedule. Nobody gave me anything. There was no inheritance, no windfall, no lucky break. What I had, I built, and I built it the only way I knew how. One day at a time, one delivery at a time, one mortgage payment at a time. Carol passed in 2012. Stroke. She was 63 years old. We had been married 38 years. I am not going to spend a long time on this part because some things do not benefit from being described at length. She was the other half of everything, and when she was gone I kept living because that is what you do and because she would have told me to. But the house after Carol was a different kind of house. Quieter in a way that had nothing to do with sound. Carol chose every piece of furniture in that house, every picture on the wall. She had a particular way with rooms. She could look at an empty space and see what it needed, and then find it, usually at a thrift store or an estate sale, and it would be exactly right. After she passed, I did not change a single thing. I know some people find that unhealthy. I found it honest. The house was Carol's work as much as mine, and I was not going to erase it just because she was gone. I had 2 children with Carol, Pamela, born in 1974, and my son Darren, born in 1977. Darren lives in Tucson. He and I talk every week. He is a good man and a good son, and I want to say that clearly before I spend the next part of this story talking about his sister. Pamela was always the complicated one. Not in a bad way. Complicated the way smart people are sometimes complicated. She felt things strongly. She had opinions about everything. She and Carol were close in the way that mothers and daughters are sometimes close, arguing and loving in the same breath. After Carol passed, Pamela called more often, came to visit. She seemed to need the connection, and I was glad for it. Her marriage had been difficult for years. Her husband, Kevin, had been in and out of steady work. They had 2 teenagers. Money was tight in their household and had been tight for a while. I helped when I could, a loan here, a grocery run there, the kind of help a father provides without keeping score, because keeping score is not what fathers do. I did not keep score. I wish I had kept score. In March of 2023, I had a heart attack. I was 74 years old. I was in the kitchen making coffee at 7 in the morning, and the pain hit my chest like something had taken hold of it from the inside. I managed to get to my phone and call 911. The paramedics arrived in 8 minutes. The doctors at the hospital told me later that 8 minutes was the difference. I spent 9 days in the hospital. A stent procedure, medication adjustments, cardiac rehabilitation scheduled. The cardiologist was direct and kind in equal measure. He said, "Mr. Briggs, you are going to be all right, but you are going to need to make some changes, and for the first few months, you are going to need some support around the house." I told him I would figure it out. Pamela called me the day I came home from the hospital. She said, "Dad, I want to come. I want to bring Kevin and the kids and stay with you for a while." I said, "Pamela, that is a generous offer, but I do not want to disrupt your lives." She said, "Dad, you almost died. We are coming." She said it with such warmth and such certainty that I felt something I had not felt since Carol passed. I felt looked after. I said yes. I am telling you now what that yes cost me. They moved in the second week of April 2023. Kevin and the 2 teenagers, and Pamela with 3 carloads of belongings. I gave them the 2 spare bedrooms. I kept my room. I was still on restricted activity from the cardiac rehab protocol. No heavy lifting, limited stairs, regular rest periods. I was genuinely grateful for the company. The house had been too quiet for years. The first month was good. Pamela cooked. Kevin handled yard work. The teenagers were polite if somewhat invisible. I felt cared for in a way I had not experienced since Carol. And I did not examine it too closely, because examining good things too closely has always seemed to me like a way of ruining them. In the second month, small things began to shift. Kevin started using my car regularly because, he said, his was in for repairs. The repairs took 6 weeks and then became permanent. Pamela asked me to add her name to my primary checking account so she could manage household bills while I was limiting my activity. I agreed. I told myself it was practical. I told myself it was temporary. Those are the 2 most dangerous words in the English language when someone you love is asking you for access to your money. Practical and temporary. Remember that. By month 4, Pamela had access to my checking account, my savings account, and had been added to my car title to make insurance easier. I had signed 3 documents in 4 months, each one explained to me as a small administrative convenience. I signed them at the kitchen table while Pamela explained them, and Kevin made coffee, and I was still on heart medication that made me tired, and I trusted my daughter. I am going to tell you what happened between April and February as plainly as I can, because I think plain is what it deserves. Between April and February, $47,000 was withdrawn from my savings account, in transfers and cash withdrawals I did not authorize. My car was sold in November. I did not know it had been sold until a neighbor mentioned seeing a for sale sign on it in the driveway. When I asked Pamela about it, she said they had needed the money urgently, and she would explain everything soon. She did not explain everything soon. The furniture began disappearing in December, 1 piece at a time, which is why I did not notice immediately. The dining table I thought had been moved to the garage for more space. Carol's bookshelf I thought had been reorganized. By January, the living room contained my recliner and a television I did not own. Carol's things, the things she had chosen for every room of that house, had been sold at an estate sale I was not told about. In February, I had my cardiology follow-up. Darren drove me. While I was at the appointment, the locks were changed. When Darren brought me back and I could not get in, Pamela answered the door and told me through the screen that the house was no longer in my name. I later confirmed with a lawyer that my name had been removed from the deed in January, using a power of attorney document I had signed in month 3. A document Pamela told me was a healthcare proxy. It was not a healthcare proxy. It was a general power of attorney, and I had signed it. Darren drove me to his hotel that night. He had driven in from Tucson for my appointment and stayed. If he had not stayed, I do not know where I would have gone. I had $43 in my wallet and no access to my accounts because Pamela had changed the passwords. My car was gone. The house was gone. My wife's furniture was gone. I sat in Darren's hotel room in Phoenix and I tried to understand how 11 months had converted 40 years of careful work into $43 in a wallet. We went to a lawyer the next morning. The lawyer explained what had happened with the kind of careful language people use when they are telling you something terrible. The power of attorney had been used to transfer the deed. The account withdrawals were documented, but recovery would require litigation and was uncertain. The car title transfer had been legal at the time of signing. She said, "Mr. Briggs, what happened to you has a name. It is called elder financial abuse. It is a crime, and I am sorry that the person who committed it was someone you loved." Pamela and Kevin and the children were still in my house when I filed the police report. They remained in it for 4 more months while the legal process moved. I am not going to tell you how that felt because some things cannot be adequately described, and I am not going to try. I will tell you that Darren was with me every step. I will tell you that my church community helped me find the apartment I am in now. And I will tell you that the recliner, my chair, the chair they did not sell, came back to me through the legal process. I have it in my living room. Carol's photo is on the armrest. Some nights I sit in it and I talk to her. I do not know if she hears me, but it helps. What do I wish I had known? I wish I had known the difference between a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney. They are not the same document. A healthcare proxy lets someone make medical decisions for you if you are incapacitated. A power of attorney gives someone legal authority over your finances and property. If anyone at all, family or otherwise, asks you to sign a power of attorney, do not sign it at a kitchen table. Take it to a lawyer first. Pay the lawyer. That $200 will save you everything. I am saying this as a man who did not do it and lost everything because I did not. Second, never give a family member sole access to your financial accounts. If someone needs to help you manage bills, there are ways to do that without giving them the ability to withdraw your savings. A bank can set up supervised access. A financial advisor can help structure it correctly. What happened to me happened because I had no oversight on my own accounts once Pamela was added to them. There was nothing between her decisions and my money. Put something between them, always. Third, vulnerability is not weakness. I was vulnerable after my heart attack. I needed help. That was real and it was honest and there was nothing wrong with it. What was wrong was that I let my vulnerability become a reason to stop asking questions. I accepted explanations I should have verified. I signed documents I should have reviewed. I told myself that questioning my daughter's motives was disloyal. It was not disloyal. It was necessary. You can love someone and still require that they treat your interests with respect. Those two things are not in conflict. The right people will understand that. The wrong people will call it distrust and use it to shame you into compliance. Learn the difference before it costs you what it cost me. And this last thing, if this is happening to you right now, if you are in the middle of something that feels like what I have described, or if you are watching it happen to someone you love, there are resources. Adult Protective Services in your state handles elder financial abuse. The National Elder Fraud Hotline is 1-833-FRAUD-11. These are not shameful calls to make. These are the calls that stop what happened to me from finishing what it started. Make the call. Do not wait until the lock changes. My name is Eugene Walter Briggs. I am 75 years old. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in a small apartment with my recliner and Carol's photo and 43 years of knowing how to show up for one more day. and I am still here. I want to say something to every person listening who has an elderly parent, a grandparent, an aunt or uncle living alone. Check on them, not just with a phone call. Go see them. Look at what is in their house. Ask about their accounts. Ask who has access to their documents. Ask these questions with love and ask them plainly. Because the people who are doing what Pamela did to me are counting on nobody asking those questions. They are counting on privacy and loyalty and the particular silence of families who do not talk about money. Break that silence. The conversation is uncomfortable. The alternative is worse. And if you are an elderly person watching this who recognizes something in what I have described, something that is happening in your house right now, please call someone you trust outside the situation. A son or daughter who is not involved. A pastor, a doctor, a neighbor. Call Adult Protective Services. Call the fraud hotline. Do it while you still can. Because I waited too long and it cost me nearly everything. You do not have to wait. Subscribe to Senior Untold Stories. Every week, a real life told honestly. Leave a comment below. Tell me what stayed with you. I read every single one. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your people. And read what you sign. Every time. Good night.